Habari ma Africa, mimi ni King, ninafuraha kukutana na wewe. Asante kwa kutazama King Says So. Ladies and gentlemen, General Shadriia Sibiya is not happy. For those who don't know who General Shadriia Sibiya is this guy. He's not happy about his boss. His boss has sent him home. Who is his boss? That's this guy, Masemola, General Masemola, who is the National Commissioner of the Police. He has suspended this guy because of what another general said. The General of KwaZulu-Natal, the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, which is General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi came out and said there are people that are disturbing the work of the political task killing unit. And he said one of those people who's doing that is General Sibiya. Now, all of this confusion has brought South Africa into a confused state. Now, there is an ad hoc committee. The ad hoc committee is going to investigate why General Mkhwanazi said what he said about the Minister of Police and about the Deputy National Commissioner, which is Sibiya. Now, after all of that, the president then appointed a commission. Once again in South Africa, we have a commission called the Madlanga Commission that is going to investigate everything. But it looks like the whole story is about the remaining 121 dockets that has now been moved to KwaZulu-Natal. Sibiya said, I wanted to send the documents back to KwaZulu-Natal, but Mkhwanazi did not want the documents back. He stopped the process. And this one is saying, I am suspending you because you kept the documents. Hey, now we are here on King Says So, trying to make sense of all of it. Let's talk about that, Paseta, and much more.
Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Says So. I'm your host, Kagiso Hlongwane, host is in Sono, and we're back at it again with another one. And today I took some time actually to watch this issue of the court process of Sibiya versus his boss Masemola. Yo, guys, hey, I know. You know, when I was busy making notes about this video, I was like, if this is how the commission, the Madlanga Commission is going to look like, South Africans are going to be confused more than what they will understand. There's going to be more confusion than understanding, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, after everything is done, South Africa will not know who is right and who is wrong. I promise you. I'm talking now about the Madlanga Commission. If this little court process that is happening now is going to be in any way, shape, or form like what is going to happen at the Zondo Commission and what is going to happen in the Madlanga Commission, we're going to be confused. We're going to be confused. So I watched the whole thing, but I'm going to bring some small clips for you guys to understand. But like I said in the intro, just for information purposes, I did not know that General Sibiya wanted to send the documents back to General Mkhwanazi. I did not know that. I'm hearing that now in court. I'm not sure how I want to feel about that. Why did he take the documents in the first place? Okay, he took the documents because the Minister of Police was disbanding this unit. I never failed to icon. This thing is too much. This thing is too much. It's too much. It's too much. If we are going to get this type of drama in, because we are going to be listening to lawyers. Me and you are not lawyers. We study law online, me and you. We just look at other podcasters, Jimmy and Sizwe, explaining some law terms and all of those things. Me and you, we are not law experts. We just want to hear what is right and wrong, and a plain black and white type of a story. Nothing too much of a gray area or all of those things. We want to know what is going on. Just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, let's listen to the lawyer of General Sibiya.
Commission's terms of inquiry tells you that that's exactly within their mandate, to perform this kind of investigation that my learned friend says is more appropriately done within the SAPS.
But there must be notionally a difference between calling a witness and saying to the witness, come tell me what happened there, bring all sorts of books you have, or even if you conduct a search. There's notionally a difference between that, as we've seen in the functioning of the Zondo Commission, to call the Commission back, and what a detective does and actively investigates and requests and perform ballistic tests.
No, correct.
Obtain hard evidence,
No.
fingerprint.
Correct. But what we're talking about here is we're talking an employment type of investigation that General Masemola will be conducting. General Masemola is not doing ballistic testing. He's not doing police work vis-a-vis General Sibiya. He's doing an employer-employee type of investigation. So what I say in response to that, Justice Davis, is that that is entirely consistent with what Para 10 provides for, because that's exactly the kind of function that we say is more appropriately done by the Commission. On the last point, how long is this going to take? What are they going to do? On that same page, 001-65, just look at what it says at paragraph 12. The Commission shall, where appropriate, refer any matter for prosecution, further investigation, or convening of a separate inquiry to the appropriate law enforcement agency, government, department, or regulator. So, in other words, the idea that the Commission is not going to have the fullest powers to investigate these same allegations that General Masemola insists his disciplinary process must have jurisdiction over is squarely contradicted by the terms of the Commission itself. The Commission is going to do exactly that. And once we can establish that the Commission can achieve exactly that, that takes you then to the discretion issue under the interdict test that I argued earlier, as well as expediency vis-a-vis Gordon, both in the High Court and in the Constitutional Court.
Okay, let's start it there. So, what this lawyer is saying is that the Commission has established its terms of inquiry, the terms of reference. They know what they're going to do. They have set up what they're going to do. We don't know when they're gonna start, but they're gonna start. So they've got their terms of reference and terms of inquiry and their mandate, what exactly they are going to do. So what Masemola did to Sibiya by suspending him is infringing, according to this lawyer, is infringing to that what the Commission is going to do. It's clashing, because the Commission also carries the power to refer matters to investigation and prosecution. So the Commission will have power to say, listen, we want you to investigate King Seso or prosecute King Seso, because according to the evidence of the Commission, we think King is partially guilty or whatever. Prosecute this man, take him to court and let him go to jail. So that is what is going on. So there's an employment investigation that happened that Masemola had on top of Sibiya. But that ended, I believe, on the 1st of August. Now that's the question. If it ended, then what is the solution? What is the conclusion, of that investigation? So these ones, they are not happy because they're saying Masemola did not even give the poor guy Sibiya a chance to represent himself. He was just put at home. Remember, he was put at home, but his gadgets and everything was not confiscated from him. Understand? It's like, it's not a suspension, it's a stay at home, stay there, we will talk to you, don't worry. If that is what is confusing, about this case of Sibiya. Now, like I said, the more you listen to these lawyers, I'll probably do another video with the lawyer of Masemola, and I wonder who's paying these lawyers, eh? I wonder. Hey, sometimes the state pays for the lawyers. You can go and choose the most expensive lawyers, and the state pays for those lawyers. Case in point with the public protector. Remember, the public protector's office at one point said, no, we don't want to cover your legal fees. You have to pay back the legal fees. I wonder who's paying for the legal fees for this? Is it me and you, the taxpayers, who's paying for these legal fees? But anyways, it's confusing, guys. So now let's hear about Sibiya. Sibiya, the question is his employment going to be terminated after this investigation or this commission of inquiry of this matter? Let's listen to it quickly.
Yes, and can I explain why? It's because you'll remember what my learned friend said was very important, is that General Masemola said to General Sibiya that you will have an independent arbitrator, that an independent arbitrator will be the decision maker. So you'll remember, if it were an entirely independent process and General Masemola were not involved, then my ability to argue that General Sibiya should not be subject to those otherwise ordinary independent disciplinary process would have reduced substantially, because the entire process is clothed by a degree of independence of the people involved and who make the suspension decisions and whatever else might be the case. The difficulty we have here, however, is that we're not in that scenario, because you'll remember what happens is General Masemola is the one who says in SS1, SS2, and then SA1, these are the allegations that concern me, but in consequence of those allegations, I'm telling you to stay at home. I know there's a debate between my learned friend and I whether or not that's to preserve the investigation or not preserve the investigation, but the very fact of the matter that the stay at home as a disciplinary response in the widest of senses comes from someone who is implicated and themselves is not independent for the reasons I addressed earlier from Liebenberg and so on, demonstrates the fact that this particular disciplinary proceeding is not one that can continue in the way that it is. And I hope that I'm trying to be fair to say that if we were in the completely independent realm, then yes, the argument wouldn't succeed or it couldn't stand. But we're not there, and that's why the independence role of the Commission is where it's appropriate for it to play that role. May I move on?
Okay, so for me, let me say this. The reason why Sibiya is fighting is because he knows his pocket is destroyed forever. I'm talking about his employment. Besides the fact that we are suspecting that Sibiya knows something and he tried to stop some arrest and everything. Besides that, those facts, he knows once he mess up this job, he's probably not going to get another job in subs as long as Masemola is there at the top. You understand what I'm saying? So that is why he's fighting. And I strongly believe, if he does not win this court case, he will be fired after this. He will be fired and he will spend the next 2 to 3 years in court fighting his dismissal. I promise you. There is no way. Masemola feels very strongly about Sibiya. Very strong. Very strong. For him to put him to say, hey, stay at home and all of that, there is no independence here to say Masemola is independent. No, Masemola does not want Sibiya. Full stop. From what I'm seeing, if I had to call a spade, he does not want him. And he's not going to come back and work nicely with him. It's not going to happen. He's going to make everything possible in his power to keep that man out of work. So that's why the commission then plays a big role, because the commission is perceived as becoming independent. It's independent. It's going to look at the facts and make judgments and recommendations. The commission. So the commission might save Sibiya, or the commission might make things worse for Sibiya. But then it is the issue of the independence stance. Is Masemola is he independent enough to make these decisions without including HR, without processes, without Sibiya having representatives and everything? Just stay at home, suspension, and then a termination of the contract. That is what we are looking at home. So let's listen actually to what they say about the stay at home process. What is it that they are saying about that?
Can I just then deal quickly in this command and control structure with this example given by my learned friend about what happens at a crime scene and there's a shooting and then you tell him to go away and whatever the case is. Firstly, that's not what General Masemola tells you in the answering affidavit he did. He just tells you I exercised a stay-at-home decision. But the second and the more important thing is that highlights the importance to preserve something. It highlights the importance to preserve the ongoing investigation. Because remember, that's what my learned friend said. If the commander arrives at the scene of the crime and the subordinate has now shot about, the commander tells the subordinate to go away because then he can investigate what's happening at the crime scene. And the purpose of the exclusion is to protect the integrity of the investigation. What you heard me say earlier is that in SS1 and SS2, and in fact in SS3, not SS3, SA1, none of those notices, which are the instruments through which either the stay-at-home order, the allegations of misconduct, or the suspension notice, or the precursor to the suspension notice, mention the need to preserve the investigation. That only comes out in the answering affidavit, and what you know from administrative law, and this comes from the judgment of the Constitutional Court in Auricon versus City of Cape Town 2017, is that when the reasons exist at the time the decision is taken, those are the reasons against which the administrative action clock starts to run, but more importantly, that the lawfulness of the administrative action is evaluated. And what we would say is that if there is an absence of reasons contemporaneously at the time at which the administrative action is taken, it's not appropriate and actually unlawful for the decision maker to try and supplement that reason in the answering affidavit when the instrument at the time didn't mention it.
Okay. So Sibiya's reasoning, I have not paid the parts where his lawyer is making representation. Masemola. They are saying one of the reasons why Sibiya is being asked to stay at home is because they don't want him to interfere with the investigation. They want to protect the investigations. I know, I'm afraid. I know. And this is for regulations that were made in 1964, by the way. I hope you guys heard it. I hope I put it in somewhere in there. This paragraph 12 of 001-65. Anyway, this is the type of action we are going to be getting at the ad hoc committee and at the Matlanga Commission. A lot of blah, 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 blah. My lord, my learned friend. Yeah, my learned friend made a mistake. When my learned friend said this and this and this, I think, Majesty, blah, 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 blah. The next thing, me and you are not going to know what these people are saying. I'm telling you. Because when this guy of Sibiya speaks, I think Sibiya got a good lawyer. Let me say that right out. I think he got a good lawyer. Because when he speaks to me, he's convincing. And not only convincing, he's making sense. He's making sense. When he speaks, I'm like, I hear what you're saying. In fact, I understand what you are saying. This is how good this lawyer is. That's what I believe. So imagine what is going to happen when they bring the best lawyers out there in the Matlanga Commission. Just imagine what is going to happen. Every lawyer, when they speak, they make sense and they're making a good point. Then comes this lawyer, they make sense and and they've got a team here, team of 3 or 5 guys helping them to say, no, say this, say that. They highlight all of the things, make sure the documents are, spelile mzansi, spelile. This lawyer was saying the court must not allow General Masemola to do what he wants to do. So I just want to play that part as well so that we can listen. Listen to this.
On the specific issue, just because the repository of the power tells you that I am entitled to act under another regulation doesn't mean that the court has to accept it even in motion proceedings, the version of the respondent. The true test that you yourself, with all due respect, looked into in paragraph 16 of Letswaolo is about what's the source of the authority. And if we can accept that the stay-at-home order here is directly related to the Mkhwanazi allegations, which they are, and the Mkhwanazi allegations themselves form the basis of General Masemola's disciplinary action against General Sibiya, both in terms of Reg 8 and in terms of Reg 10, then we're placing form above substance. Because then the stay-at-home order is not a stay-at-home order at all, it's a precautionary suspension. And with all due respect, whilst I'm on that point, my learned friend said something very important about that. What he said in the argument is he said, the National Commissioner has an important duty to take this action. And his exact example was, imagine Sibiya goes to the office and then he has to get an affidavit from someone sitting next to him. That's what my learned friend said. My learned friend's exact words were, he might not even intend for it, but his very presence might be intimidatory. My lord, that is a precautionary suspension factor, plain and simple. Because every time a precautionary suspension is applied, no matter what you call it, it's about, as we know from Long versus SAB, preserving the integrity of the investigation. And can I just say in that regard, my lord, the reason that our learned friends can't just invent it by the flick of a term and say it's now a stay-at-home order is, what does Reg 10 tell you? Reg 10 tells you, yes, you can place someone under precautionary suspension, which is to preserve the outcome of the investigation and preserve that process. But you have to give them the opportunity to make representations. And what do we know happened here? My learned friend said that the stay-at-home order was to achieve these things. It was to prevent these intimidatory consequences. It was to preserve the investigation. So in substance, it's a precautionary suspension, and there was no compliance with Reg 10. So respectfully, our learned friends can't have it both ways. When we say to them, well, your stay-at-home order is a disguised precautionary suspension, they argue, well, we're entitled to invent a power outside the disciplinary reg, and then we say to you, but affordable medicines controls you, and they say, well, it doesn't matter. And then on the other hand, when we say, okay, if the stay-at-home order is what it says it is, if it ticks all the boxes of a precautionary suspension and you haven't come home under Reg 10, how can it withstand legal scrutiny? And then they say, well, we don't have to comply with Reg 10. That's the very point that we made earlier about also the trial prejudice that General Sibiya is facing every time that the argument shifts when the National Commissioner is sought to be held to account.
Like I said, I think this lawyer makes some good points, to be honest. Is this a precautional suspension, or is it a stay-at-home? The stay-at-home order is related to the Mkhwanazi allegations. So the Mkhwanazi allegations are going to be sorted out are going to be concluded or investigated by the special Madlanga commission that is there. So allow the commission to take place before you start suspending and doing your things as the national commissioner. Then there's that thing of saying, does the commission then disturb the work of the police? All of those things that are happening, for me, it's just like, no, man, no. It's too much. So he says the court must not accept the decision that Masemola is making. Say, don't accept Masemola to be a law and himself, because there's a process that is going on here. I think Sibiya will be at the ad hoc committee on the 10th or something like that. On the 10th of September, he will be there next week somewhere. He will be appearing there. Let the processes, unfold, and let the processes then expose the criminality of Abu Sibiya and whoever that you want to expose. But when you suspend somebody, it means that you have concluded on the investigation. You have decided on the outcome. So now, what happens if then Sibiya at the end is not suspended, or the ad hoc committee says, you know what? We don't see a reason why Sibiya was suspended. What if the Madlanga Commission come out and in favor of Sibiya? What? Then what? That's the question. But let's just continue to listen to these people again.
Can I just make this point? And my lord, you and I had this discussion when I referred you to the fact that the investigation has concluded based on what the National Commissioner has said. And then when you put that same question to my learned friend, you said, what is the impact of that, the status of that being completed on this? My learned friend then started answering you by saying, with all due respect, oh, well, the employment relationship has broken down and all those kinds of things. But my lord, that's not the purpose of a precautionary suspension or even a stay-at-home order, with all due respect. That illustrates, with all due respect, the schmuchel that really is evident here, is that this invented power of a stay-at-home order is being used to obtain the consequences of either a precautionary or a punitive suspension, and it's done so with no power at all. But what your lordship would obviously know is that if the investigation is concluded, and let's assume in the National Commissioner's favor it is concluded, then obviously there's no need for him to continue to be kept at home. In terms of that suspension. Yeah, he said it was concluded on 1 August, that's right. I beg your pardon?
Unless if he has already been suspended.
Which we don't know about, because remember, the only thing that comes out from the supplementary affidavit is the Reg 10 notice, which says, make your representations, and then I'll consider and I'll do something. So that really takes me back to the procedural spaghetti point I made earlier. How is it that you're keeping the man at home under a stay-at-home order, which we say is a disguised precautionary suspension? You don't comply with Reg 10 because that presupposes that your investigation is still ongoing, but under oath you've said that the investigation closed on the 1st of August. So there's a disaggregate there, there's a lawfulness problem there. But then at the same time, under Reg 8, you say here's the allegations, and instead of commencing the proceeding, you say to the person involved, stay at home, and then you exercise some kind of other power to keep them at home in circumstances where your purpose for keeping them at home is to achieve the outcome of a precautionary suspension. That's the point, my lord.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. For me, it's gonna be a long bumpy run. Remember, there's so many processes that will be happening simultaneously. It's not a parallel. That's not even funny. This is going to continue. The judge has reserved the judgment on this one, so it's gonna happen again. I don't know when did they postpone it to for another court appearance. It's probably they're gonna be probably in court for the next 2 months, probably. The ad hoc committee, that should be 3 months of work or more, and then you've got the Madlanga Commission, that is 5 months or more. All of these processes happening at the same time. Then you ask yourself, is it not distracting us as African people? I know it's so important. 333 dockets, and I think 130 of them successful convictions. 121 left. From that 121, how many? 107 of them are murder related. So it's very important. But okay, let me not get into it. Let me remind you, we're having a live today at 5:30 at the Paseta YouTube channel. Please tune in there to join the forum and share your views and thoughts there. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning. Tell me what you think on the comment section. Are you as confused as me, or do you see what the confusion is coming? Can you see what all of these processes are happening at the same time? We're gonna lose. The ad hoc committee is gonna say one thing. These ones they're gonna say another thing. This one are gonna investigate. Subscribe to King Says So. We will be keeping an eye and reporting each and every day on all of this confusion that will be happening. I really appreciate the support that you guys are giving us, and let's meet on the flip side. Until we meet again, don't forget to pray. But after you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace in Pan Africanism. I salute you.